Hello, my name is Simon from CramTheExam and welcome to another video where I walk you through another English exam question explaining what the answers are and why I think the answers are the answers. In this video we're going to have a look at the FCE First B2 exam question listening part 3. This question you can find on the excellent website examenglish.com and you'll find a link to the website and to this exercise in the video description below, so be sure to click on those links and check them out. Exam English is a fantastic website to help you get ready not just for your FCE but also CAE and other English exams as well. So pop along to the website, spend some time going through the resources that they have there and it will benefit you in your preparations. Okay, the part 3 question, you've got to listen to 5 short texts and try to understand the general idea of the text, the context, what it's generally about, as well as listening for key bits of vocabulary as well. The question that we've got here is one that asks you to summarize the idea of the texts that you'll hear. So what's the general idea of the text supported by vocabulary to help you get the context correct? Which sounds like a really difficult thing to prepare for, and it is quite a difficult thing to prepare for. So that's why you need to practice as much as you can. But let's go through the answers now, and I'll explain why I think, at least, the answers are the answers. So for speaker number 1, it's I outgrew my old friends. Now, when you listen to the speaker 1 text, as I try to advise in my videos with about part 3, you've got to try and summarize the text in a sentence or in a few words. And we can do this for speaker 1. It's about someone who had a friend as a kid, but then their interests went different ways, let's just say that. It's and we can see this, and that general idea is supported by the vocabulary. My best friends were the kids who lived down my street, so there was a close relationship, and then it says, but since I moved away, we've inevitably drifted apart. Their lives and mine are so different now, and that's the key piece of vocabulary that we're looking for which helps us get our answer. And then it says, I've moved on, but they're doing the same things that they were doing when they were 17. And then he says, that stuff doesn't interest me anymore. The context being is that perhaps that his friends who haven't moved on are a little bit childish. Perhaps they should have joined the real world. And that's the idea that gives us our answer. I outgrew my old friends. So I am older, I've got more interests, different interests, whereas my old friends have got the same interests from when they were younger. For speaker number 2, it says, speaker number 2, the answer is, there's no friend like an old friend. Speaker number 2 is about someone who went to a school reunion, didn't want to go to a school reunion, but actually had a great time at that school reunion. Why? Is because it says, as soon as I met up with my old pal Barney, we picked up where we left off. So, in other words, it was just like we last said hello all those years ago. There weren't any social graces. In other words, we didn't have to go through the normal rules of etiquette with meeting people. Within minutes, we were teasing each other just the same as we'd done 10 years ago. So in other words, we act now as we did back then. And that's why the answer is there's no friend like an old friend. In other words, your old friends are your best friends and they will remain your best friends. For speaker number 3, social networking keeps friendships going. Now, speaker number 3 is all about keeping contact with people through emails and through online resources, let's say. For example, he talks about getting their email addresses here, and then it talks about going online, and then it talks about, I know that without the internet, our friendships would never have withstood the test of times. In other words, internet would be a synonym in this case for social networking, because social networking happens on the internet, and friendships going is reflected in this vocabulary here. So that's the reason why social network keeps friendships going is the answer to number 3. For speaker number 4, he says that, or I'm not sure if it's a girl or if it's a man or a woman, but she's saying that a friend gave me lots and lots of help, or was a really, really good friend, and then when they got into trouble, that person looked after that friend, but at the end of the day, there was a limit. There was a line which couldn't be crossed in terms of that relationship, and so that person, I think Hannah, had to move out. In other words, friendship has its limitations. You can only go so far in a friendship before other people start getting a little bit annoyed. And that's why the answer is friendship has limitations for speaker number 4. For speaker number 5, at a party, 2 groups of people, young people, old people. Old people had a much better time, young people had a miserable time. Why? Because it says here, the people on my table all had their smartphones switched on, they'd spent the whole evening texting, they'd barely said a word. In other words, they're not talking to each other, they're not socializing, and this is a group of young people in contrast to old people, and that's why the younger generation can't socialize, or at least this is what this text is identifying. There we go. That's why I think the answers are the answers. If you would like me to explain in any more detail, I'm not sure I did a fantastic job of it in this video, but hopefully you managed to follow where I was coming from. But if you want me to explain in a bit more detail, or if you disagree with anything that I said, then leave a comment below and I will get in contact with you. Now, I said at the beginning, in order to get ready for this listening exercise, you have to practice. And if you're practicing using one of the more popular or well-known FCE course books, then go along to my website, CramTheExam.com, and you can see that I might be able to help you out with your course book studies. Okay, thank you very much for watching this video, and I'll see you again soon.